Today I will learn about the community of inquiry model and its application in a flipped learning classroom. First, to learning objective. About guidance, know about communicate inquiries models. There are the three core of community of inquiry model. Know about flipped classroom and four pillars of flipped classroom. Know to implement a flipped classroom. The last one is application of coequivalences in a flipped learning classroom. Knowledge point. We have three parts. First is COI model. Second is three core of the community of inquiry model. Last one flipped classroom. Author of COI model. The community of inquiry, abbreviated as COI, is a concept first introduced by early pragmatist philosophers C.S. Peirce and John Dewey, concerning the nature of knowledge formation and the process of scientific inquiry. The community of inquiry is broadly defined as any group of individuals involved in a process of empirical or conceptual inquiry into problematic situations. This concept was novel in its emphasis on the social quality and contingency of knowledge formation in the sciences, contrary to the Cartesian model of science, which assumes a fixed, unchanging reality that is objectively knowable by rational observers. The community of inquiry emphasizes that knowledge is necessarily embedded within a social context among those involved in the process of inquiry for legitimacy. Repairs interested plates. Let's study about the community of inquiry model. The first definition about introduction model. Describe how learn task plays for a group of individual learners through the education. Describes the course as the intersection of social, cognitive, and teaching presence. Research has shown that there is a relationship between the three presences and the students' perceived learning satisfaction with the course, satisfaction with the instructor, actual learning, and sense of belonging as depicted in the figure. The COI framework explains deep and meaningful learning online as occurring at the intersection of social, teaching, and cognitive presence. The three core of the community of inquiry model. The first is social presence. Is the ability of participants to project their individual personalities in order to identify and communicate with the community and develop interpersonal relationships. Is the extent to which learners are able to construct and confirm meaning through sustained reflection and discourse. Teaching presence is the design, facilitation, and direction of the social and cognitive processes for the purpose of realizing the relevant learning outcomes. Social price. The ability of learners to show their full personalities and be real people. The ability to express feelings about the educational experience, being responsive to others' comments and building and sustaining a sense of group commitment. Emotion. Express. Learners share personal expressions of emotion, feelings, beliefs, and values. Effective expression using emoticons, credits, self-disclosure, and use of humor are indicators of the interpersonal communication aspect of social presence. Open communication. Learners build and sustain a sense of group commitment. It encourages critical reflection and discourse through a process of recognizing, complimenting, and responding to the questions of others. The group cohesion. The owners interact around common intellectual activities and tasks. It is achieved when students identify with the group and perceive themselves as a part part of the community of inquiry. Social presence exercise. With your group, brainstorm and share ideas for each of these components. The social-based practices they have. 5 best practices. The social categories. It should give you an example. You can see the table. The teaching presence. Teaching presence is a significant factor in student satisfaction and perceived learning. We can see teaching presence best practices. It also has 5 parts. These teaching presence categories, indicators, and example. Cognitive presence. Cognitive presence is a component of the community of inquiry framework for teaching effective, engaging courses. Other components of core include teaching and social presence. Cognitive is the academic content and engaging of the mind in the online environment and has 4-phase process. The best practices of cognitive presence. This is the categories, indicators, and example for cognitive presence. Flipped classroom. What is the flipped classroom? Flipped classroom is a pedagogical approach in which direct instruction moves from the group learning space to the individual learning space. The resulting group space is transformed interactive learning environment where the educator guides students. They apply concepts and engage creatively in the subject matter. The 4 pillars of FYIP. Flexible learning environment. They create flexible spaces in which students choose and where they live. Furthermore, educators who flip their classes are flexible in their timelines for learning and in their assessments of student learning. As a result, students are actively involved in knowledge construction as they participate in and evaluate their learning in a manner that is personally meaningful. They determine what they need to teach and what materials students should explore on their own. Maximize classroom time in order to adopt method of student-centered active learning strategies depending on grade level and subject matter. In a flipped classroom, that's in a traditional one, during classroom time, they continually observe their students, providing them with feedback relevant in the moment and assessing their work. Professional educators are reflective in their practice, connect with each other to improve their instruction, accept constructive criticism, and tolerate control chaos in their classroom. They remain the essential ingredient that enables flipped learning to occur. What about Bloom S? How does Bloom S taxonomy work with a flipped model? In traditional learning, Bloom S taxonomy is used to assist with lower level learning such as remembering and understanding the content being learned during class. As referenced on the Bloom S taxonomy pyramid, higher level learning traditional is the practice outside of the class. For homework and outside class practice right, and the next step is taught during. In class, let's analyze them. When the flipped classroom model is used, the pyramid can be flipped upside down. By using the revised taxonomy, students can then work independently on the lower level cognitive work before interest the classroom and engage with the teacher, their classmates during class using higher cognitive work. So let's see another explain of lit classroom model, which is short animes YouTube video. Let's see the video. How to implement a flipped classroom. Ensure access. Ensure students know how to keep lessons short. Hold students accountable. Perfection. Start small. Ensure access. Make sure that students can access material and videos for the lessons. Flash drives and burn DVDs work well if the internet is not available provided the students have access to a computer. If the internet is available, there are many ways to upload video lessons such as YouTube, Google, and other platforms. Ensure students know how to. You may need to spend time teaching students how to watch the lesson. What do you expect them to do with the lesson information? For example, you expect that students reflect on the information and write down notes or questions about what they heard. You may have them complete a short quiz after watching the video lesson at home. Keep lessons short. Depending on what grade you are teaching, remember to keep the videos short, 10 to 15 minutes. Little kids especially cannot retain a lot of information at once. Try 2 to 4 minutes similar videos for the younger students. You can always have more than one video. Hold students accountable. It is reasonable to think that not all students will come prepared to class having watched the lesson in advance. Make sure you have some way to hold students accountable for being prepared. Consider having an entrance ticket to class or completing a short quiz using tools like Zoom polls or Google Form or SurveyMonkey. After students complete a lesson, you may need to hold students accountable and have them watch the content before joining the rest of the class. Perfection. Lessons should be taught authentically and naturally in a traditional classroom. It is difficult to have a perfect lesson. Therefore, it is unreasonable to make your video lesson perfect. Good lighting. Non-distracting backgrounds are important when recording, but you do not have to overthink. Burn yourself out trying to be perfect. It is more important to focus on delivering the lesson with the intended content. Just be yourself. Start small if you are thinking about trying this model in your classroom. There is no need to rush and flip everything all at once. Start small and test out a lesson or two trying to do. Too much too fast will overwhelm you and not overwhelm your students. Remember, slow and steady wins the race. Designing a community of inquiry in online courses, you need to focus the three presence: social presence, teaching presence, cognitive presence. A consistent theme in my work of a learning community. The community of inquiry framework work can help teachers learning online and offline work to cultivate blended classroom characterized by respect, dialogue, inquiry, and exploration. Too often classrooms are spaces where kids do not enjoy the flexibility or freedom to ask questions about topics or issues that capture their interest and pursue exploration that may extend beyond the boundaries of a particular subject area. Designing a community of inquiry in online courses instead of allowing students to engage in the messy business, asking questions, seeking answers, and understanding complex problems. Education focuses on presenting the answers to questions and solutions to problems for kids to absorb and retain. However, if the student has not played an active role in asking questions or investigating topics, they are unlikely to be interested in or motivated to remember the answer. Let's show the point of cultivating a community of inquiry both on and offline can help students learn how to think independently, imaginatively, and resourcefully. Community of inquiry in online courses. Cognitive presence is the extent to which learners are able to construct and confirm meaning through sustained reflection and discourse. Cognitive presence has four phases. This is based from the guide or identifying and eliciting cognitive presence. Triggering event. Learners recognize the problem and have a sense of puzzlement by the given question or task. Exploration. Learners use different sources and discuss with others to solve ambiguities. Integration. Learners reflect on the task, think ideas, and try to come up with solutions. Resolution. In this final phase, learners apply the knowledge created to new situations. They test the solutions or defend the solutions. The theoretical framework represents the process of creating deep and meaningful learning experiences through the development of three interdependent dimensions of presence, social, teaching, and cognitive when all three elements interact. It is then that students are able to experience deep and meaningful learning. Teaching presence is the design, facilitation, and direction of cognitive and social processes for the purpose of realizing personally meaningful and educationally worthwhile learning outcomes. It is the key element that facilitates the establishment and growth of social and cognitive presences. Developing function of coin model. So model. Ultimately, classrooms should be spaces where students the skills necessary to explore and understand their world. They must practice approaching unfamiliar concepts and situations to make sense of them. Using the community of inquiry framework provides blended teachers with a structure they can use to design learning experiences that combine the best elements of online and offline learning and allow students to judge that learning. Thank you. That's how for our class 5.